A very good afternoon to you and welcome to Ibro Up to Date at 1. It is the 19th of July 2019. Thank you once more for making time to join us this afternoon. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim. We do start this coverage at the corridors of justice, where Justice Jessie Lesit has thrown out an application to have her rescue herself from the Sharon Otieno murder case. Two of the accused persons, Michael Oyamo and Caspar Lobiero, had filed an application for the judge to disqualify herself from the case.
The two, Oyamo and Obiero, had asked the judge to get off the case on grounds of conflict of interest. In the application, Oyamo and Obiero had alleged that the comments by the judge, who denied them bond, caused them to believe that their trial would be unfair. However, in a ruling made on Friday, Justice Jessie Lesit was adamant they have not raised anything to prove claims of bias. The judge also said that the application was made out of perception of conviction.
Between the 3rd and the 4th of September this year at Owade area, in Rachuanyo sub-county within Homa Bay County, joint with others who are not before the court, you murdered baby Sharon.
Justice Lesit also noted that they have a right of appeal and the case will now be heard on October 9th. Oyamo, a personal assistant to Obado, and Obiero, a clerk in Migori County, had stated that they were apprehensive that Justice Lesit, who is currently handling the case, will not give them a fair trial. The suspects argued that Lesit released Migori Governor Okoth Obado on bail but denied them freedom due to bias and discrimination. They had been confined in remand prison but were later released on 1 million cash bail each after successfully appealing their detention. Governor Obado, who is one of the accused, was however not party to the application. Elsewhere, a Nairobi court has dropped a firearms case against Migori Governor Okoth Obado after investigations revealed that he followed the law in acquiring them. Magistrate Jose Ngadani hence directed that the guns be returned to the governor after the case investigating officer added that there was no further evidence to sustain the charges. 8 guns were late last year recovered from Governor Obado's 2 homes in Migori and Nairobi following a 5-hour search by detectives from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission. Busana Naman for Ebru TV.
Now from the corridors of justice, following rampant cases of robberies and motor vehicle theft in Nairobi County, detectives from the Directorate of Criminal Investigations have recovered 2 stolen motor vehicles at Wanguru, Kirinyaga County. One suspect, Anthony Munene, was arrested and placed in custody. The operation that kicked off 2 weeks ago saw the recovery of a Toyota Probox and a Fielder. The 3, Joshua Odhiambo, aged 19 years, Jane Ogenda, 20 years, and Dixon Ombaso, 27 years, were also found in possession of a fake motor vehicle number plate and an iPad labeled GOK. Hiyo prompt alafu inaenda slow sana. And in other news, Naivas supermarket has now suspended the sale of the red meat across all its stores countrywide, pending the results of an independent testing. This comes barely a day after the national government, through the Ministry of Health, shut down all respective supermarkets retailing meat found with chemical preservatives believed to be harmful to human consumption.
Following the uproar of the public, the Ministry of Health and a number of food consumer organizations suspected food retailers, including renowned supermarkets, have finally bowed to the pressure. In a statement to the newsroom, Naivas supermarkets outlets have shut down all their butchery section, and as the whole stock of the red meat will be subjected to a thorough independent lab test and a step-by-step verification of each participant along the whole meat value chain. Meanwhile, they will be selling white meat. The Ministry of Health through CS Cicely Kariuki, however, after several tests run on respective supermarkets cited to be culprits of the new trend, she has confirmed on taking legal actions on the individuals involved. So far, Machakos Governor Alfred Mutua has shut down midsections of all Naivas supermarket outlets in Machakos County after laboratory test on a sample of meat sold at Naivas supermarket at Gateway Mall in Mavoko was allegedly found to contain a harmful additive. Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko as well also closed down meat outlets in 6 major supermarkets in Nairobi after samples revealed excess preservatives in the meat. Among the supermarkets affected with the shutdown of the butchery section include Naivas supermarket outlets across the country, Muthaiga Fine Meat Limited and Tuskys Kenyatta Avenue, amongst others. Melia Kisianya for Ebru TV.
Now let's head over to our top story this afternoon. The Council of Governors were before Chief Justice David Maraga to seek an advisory opinion on the Division of Revenue Bill 2019. The Chief Justice advised the two parties to resolve the stalemate between the National Assembly and the Senate. Maraga directed all parties involved in the case to file and serve their papers by Monday, and the mentioning will be on Tuesday to set a date on when the case will be heard and determined. Now, I do understand that we have our reporter Jeff Hayemba at the Supreme Court. Jeff, if you can tell us, both parties, have they adhered to what Chief Justice David Maraga told them?
Thank you so much, Abdi. Just as you have said, you are coming to you from the city center here in Nairobi, where the push and pull between the members of the National Assembly and the Senate continues to escalate in the county assembly. Remember, the county government or the National Assembly last week, President Uhuru Kenyatta assented to the appropriation bill, which paves way to the appropriation of the county allocation. However, this is a move that has been protested by the senators, saying that the members, their counterparts in the National Assembly are actually taking the law into their hands without involving them, despite passing very contagious issues that is touching on devolution. Remember, yesterday the senators actually marched from the main parliament buildings up to the Milimani Law Courts, where they protested, seeking for the interpretation of the law, whether indeed it is right for the National Assembly to pass certain bills without involving them. And this comes amid a protest over the division of the revenue bill, which seeks to allocate money to the county governments. Remember, the senators are actually pushing for the allocation of 35 billion. But the members of the National Assembly are only pushing for 310 billion Kenyan shillings. This has actually raised animosity from the county government, more so from the members of the county assembly, crying foul of the two houses for not actually coming out to solve this very weighty matter, to actually push devolution ahead. And before me is the chairman of the County Assemblies Forum, Mr. Johnson Osoi, just to give me an insight on what exactly ails the county assemblies and the devolved units across the country. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. Maybe we saw you today accompanying the governors to the Supreme Court to seek legal interpretation of the division of the. Give us a hint of what exactly you are seeking.
First, it is important to note that mediation has failed between two at IBEC level, the summit, which involves governors and His Excellency the President, and therefore we are left with no option but to go to court. We are in court as county governments to seek first and foremost whether it is possible for national legislation, the appropriation bill, the one they did enact was assented to by the President, in the absence of compliance of some articles of the Constitution. For example, Article 218 of our Constitution. 2, whether the National Assembly should be able to pass bills affecting counties without involvement of the Senate. So it is important for Kenyans to know that on this particular issue, we are joined and we are having a unity of purpose between governors of the 47 counties, county assembly speakers of the 47 counties, MCAs from all over the country, and the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, because this is killing devolution. And we want the Supreme Court to set the law, to settle the law for posterity. for the decoration for generations to come.
Maybe, Chairman, I do understand that you are also the county speaker of Kajiado County. Maybe with this push and pull, where does it leave the common mwananchi?
This is a crisis in the making, because service delivery will be affected grossly in the absence of resources. The reason for which Kenyans fought for devolution was so that resources could go to the grassroots. In the absence of those resources, then devolution is meaningless. Yes.
So maybe at the end of the day, what exactly will happen? Because you realize that there was a letter that was leaked to the State House over this, the revision of the revenue bill.
No, we hope that both the legal process and political processes in this country will settle this matter once and for all, so that one organ of the state in the name of National Assembly does not arbitrarily and with impunity set figures that do not make sense to the counties. The allocation, this money belongs to all of us Kenyans. All Kenyans come from a county. Yes.
Maybe aside from that, you are the chairman of the County Assemblies Forum. Your position concerning yesterday's Ekuro Okoth's push for the referendum, where IBC okayed him to go on with the process.
We support the Punguza Mzigo initiative fully, particularly on issues that are of interest to the county assemblies. Number one, that it doesn't affect the current structure of members of county assemblies and the powers therein. Two, that it will create a stronger Senate, making the Senate the upper house, because that is the practice in other jurisdictions. We have a hybrid of, we are not sure as Kenyans whether we truly wanted a bicameral parliament or not. So if the Punguza Mzigo is addressing those issues, which it is, MCAs in this country are fully behind it.
Finally, on the question concerning the tussle in Taita Taveta County government,
I have called upon Governor Samboja and the members of County Assembly of Taita Taveta to settle down and negotiate and talk about this issue, because disagreement on a budget cannot warrant dissolution of a county government. Yes.
Thank you so much. That is Mr. Osoi Johnson, the chairman of the County Assemblies Forum, just giving the highlights of what exactly ails the country, right from the push for the referendum in the country and also the push and pull between the National Assembly and the Senate over the division of the revenue bill. We do hope that at the end of the day, the two chambers will have to come with an amicable solution to actually end this tussle that is likely to affect the common mwananchi.
Well, thank you, Jeff Khaemba. That is our reporter, Jeff Khaemba, and he'll surely bring us up to speed in our subsequent bulletins. Now, to education matters, head teachers who were promoted recently based on the career professional guidelines suspended by the court last week could be demoted. Teacher Service Commission said Thursday it will be forced to place the teachers in their old jobs grades, adding that promotions will be suspended until after July 2020, when the current collective bargaining agreement lapses.
The Teacher Service Commission had on Thursday returned to court seeking to have orders stopping the implementation of the guidelines halted. TSC argued that suspending the performance management tools is an affront to public interest since it makes teachers unaccountable to anyone. TSC now wants the orders temporarily suspended in a fresh suit filed at the Employment and Labour Relations Court against the Kenya National Union of Teachers. TSC boss Nancy Macharia said last week's judgment violates the Constitution and the Public Finance Management Act, which requires prudent use of public funds as well as the right to education. The teacher's employer has also faulted the judge for suspending the Teachers Training Development Program module, which should subsequently be implemented in line with the TSC Act. Consequently, the suspension will affect the rollout of the program, lead to financial losses, and is a breach of contract. Furthermore, TSC argues that if it promotes all unionizable teachers in accordance with the schemes of service, the gains of the teachers' CBA will be crippled due to the quashing of the career progression guidelines. The Kenya Post-Primary Education Teachers Union as well wants to be enjoined in the case.
Now let's head over back to the corridors of justice, where the High Court in Mombasa has halted the privatization of Mombasa Port. Judge Patrick Otieno suspended the implementation of a memorandum of understanding and directed the case to be taken to Chief Justice David Maraga so he can set up a panel of an even number of judges to hear the petition.
The High Court has suspended the implementation of Memorandum of Understanding between the government and Mediterranean Shipping Company over the operations and management of a container terminal at the port of Mombasa. Justice Patrick Otieno, sitting in Mombasa, issued the interim orders after suspending the implementation of Section 16(1) of the 2019 Statute Law Act. The Dock Workers Union and Muslim for Human Rights Muhuri, which had filed the petition alongside the Taireni Association of Mijikenda, were withdrawn from the proceedings following their respective application. But the court noted that Taireni Association of Mijikenda, the second petitioner, still remains in the case. Following the withdrawal from the case, Muhuri has since filed the similar petition separately. The petitioner is seeking a declaration that MOU between the government and the Mediterranean Shipping Company is illegal and unconstitutional. They argue that the purported privatization of the operations and management of Port of Mombasa, Container Terminal 2, to a private entity is contrary to the principles of sovereignty, as the port is a national asset. They argue that the MOU for the transfer of part of the terminal to a private entity is not viable and the implementation will be detrimental to Kenyans. The judge has also directed the case file to be taken to Chief Justice David Maraga so as he can set up a panel of an uneven number of judges to hear the petition. Reporting for Ibru TV, I'm Kaindo Stefano.
Now elsewhere, Nakuru County has unveiled an action plan for preventing and countering violent extremism, with Deputy Governor Eric Korir announcing that the town will be furnished with CCTV security cameras ahead of its elevation to city status. The county action plan will dovetail into the national strategy to counter violent extremism launched by President Uhuru Kenyatta in September 7, 2016.
I propose we be silent.
Dr. Korir noted that Nakuru has the second largest hospitality industry after Mombasa, rendering it a high-risk target for acts of terrorism, something which calls for the county government to put security measures in place, such as installation of security cameras, so as to ensure the people of Nakuru are secured. The Deputy Governor also expressed concern that most of the guards manning learning institutions, shopping malls and offices lacked adequate skills.
We've been hearing a lot about security cameras, and we want to continue requesting a collaboration between us and the county commissioner and of course the national government in putting up CCTV cameras in our town. Those ones, they will help us a lot in terms of monitoring crimes.
Speaking during the event, County Commissioner Erastus Mbui Mwenda warned that presence of organized criminal gangs in the region and a large pool of unemployed youth provided a fertile ground for recruiters of terrorist groupings. However, he assured the administrator has rolled out an elaborate and sustained campaign against criminal gangs.
And definitely we have fertile grounds like organized criminal gangs. We know we have them. We've been fighting them here. And of course, a large population of youth who are not employed, who are likely to be lured into some of the activities that are unsocial.
Mwenda revealed that teams will be dispatched from the National Anti-Terrorism Center before the end of the year to carry out monitoring and evaluation, as well as to do a baseline survey, and will work closely with state actors, civil society, the NGOs, private sector and the national partners. Following several terrorist attacks in the country that have resulted in death and destruction of property, all the 47 counties have been tasked to develop and implement a robust and coherent county action plan to prevent and counter violent extremism. Fatuma Hassan for Ibru TV.
Now back to the education sector, where education stakeholders in West Pokot have met to familiarize themselves with the implementation of the competency-based curriculum system. Area Governor Professor John Lonyangapuo has, however, criticized the new curriculum, citing lack of wide consultation among all education stakeholders. Bonare Samaha tells us more.
Governor John Lonyangapuo says that the new system was rushed into and forced onto Kenyans without proper public participation. He says the competency-based curriculum is expensive as it requires most of its work to be done practically, and that the government must be ready to put in more money to the sector.
To implement this curriculum, the county government must buy that idea totally. Members of parliament must buy that idea totally. MCS must be in unison and they must approve in the assemblies. National government, some may be purporting to say that the education is not devolved for primary and secondary. I'm sorry to tell you, whether you like it or not, it's like it's devolved. These are the children and the parents that we serve as counties. It boils down to working together as a team.
The governor is also accusing the Ministry of Education for allegedly ruining the Kenyan education system by copying other countries without researching on what criteria they followed.
I had the privilege to sit here the whole day today, but I have a few concerns. For a long time we have been hearing it on TV, we have been seeing it on papers and hearing it on the radios that the ministry and the national government is rolling, changing the curriculum to move from what it was before. This is a very serious undertaking for the people of Kenya now and in future. But to change a curriculum requires a lot of resources, a lot of time, 4, 5, 6, 8 years, 10 years to educate the people. But it looks like the ministry just decided to drop it from the top and dump.
Director for Education West Pokot County, Jacob Onyeko, however, says the implementation of the new system is going well and is being closely monitored. He adds that most schools have received new learning materials.
Ni kama mazungumzo ya kupata njia za kuweza kushughulikia mambo ya quality education katika county yetu. There could be 1 or 2 schools that may not have gotten or received all books, and those issues are being addressed, and by next week we have an undertaking that all schools and any that may not have received all the textbooks will have received all the books.
The competency-based curriculum emphasizes the complex outcomes of a learning process rather than mainly focusing on what learners are expected to learn about in terms of traditionally defined subject content. The curriculum for early years education was rolled out in pre-primary 1 and 2 and grades 1, 2 and 3 across the country early on in January. Bonareri Samaha for Ebru TV.
Now to some sports news. The national men football team Harambee Stars has been placed in Group G of the 2021 African Cup of Nations qualifiers. Our very own Benjamin Mwaka reports more on the group pairings.
The draw conducted on Thursday night in Cairo placed Kenya in the battle for place in the 2021 Continental Tournament with Togo, Comoros and 7-time Africa champions Egypt.
Now we go to Chan to show what we can do. Let's try qualify for Chan. Not an excuse, but the key thing is, can we come back? We are coming back, I can tell you that. We're coming back with the support we have.
Harambee Stars coach Sebastian Minye will be looking to become the first coach to guide Kenya to back-to-back AFCON tournaments when the qualifiers proper commence on November 7th to 11th. Minye helped Kenya book an automatic ticket to this year's edition after finishing second behind Ghana in the qualifiers. The first 2 teams in each of the 12 groups will qualify for the finals except in Group F, where Cameroon automatically qualify as hosts, with the highest placed of the other 3 teams. The 2021 qualifiers will be preceded by pre-qualifiers, which will be played in 2 legs from October 7th to 15th. The aggregate winner of the pre-qualifiers will take their respective slots in Group A, B, C and D. Benjamin Mwaka, Ebru TV, Sports.
Now, still with AFCON, the 2019 African Cup of Nations shall culminate later tonight in Egypt as Algeria take on Senegal in the final. And as our reporter Dennis Otieno informs us, Senegal are on a revenge mission after losing to Algeria during their Group C encounter. And once again, EPL aces Sadio Mane and Riyad Mahrez shall lock horns.
The Cairo International Stadium is tonight expected to stage the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations final match between Algeria and Senegal. The Lions of Teranga are aiming to clinch their first AFCON title ever when they face the Desert Foxes, who have similar ambitions of clinching the title after 29 years of wait. Algeria head into this match having already weighed their capabilities against Africa's highest-ranked team, Senegal, whom they thrashed 1-0 in their Group C clash. Both of these sides are worthy finalists, having produced strong displays throughout the tournament and each coming through tough semi-final clashes in dramatic fashion. Senegal shall miss the services of Kalidou Koulibaly. The Napoli defender was suspended after receiving 2 yellow cards in his last 3 matches. Apart from that, there are no other major absences from the final. The game sees 2 of the Premier League's top players go head-to-head. Liverpool's Sadio Mane has scored 3 goals in the tournament and missed 2 penalties, whereas Manchester City's Riyad Mahrez has also scored 3 goals. With the trophy on the line tonight, fans should expect a tightly contested game, and should it head into extra time, it shall be a norm of the continental showpiece that has seen 5 finals since the year 2000, ending level in normal stoppage time and being decided by spot kicks. Dennis Otieno, reporting for Ebro TV Sports.
Now let's come back to the country, where the national women's volleyball team resumed training Thursday morning at the Kasarani Indoor Arena ahead of the Intercontinental Olympic qualifiers slated for early next month in Italy. The former African Queens arrived back in the country on Tuesday from Egypt after finishing second behind defending champions Cameroon at the 2019 Women's African Nation Championship. Malkia strikers will now focus on strengthening all departments after several unforced errors in reception denied them a chance to bag the coveted African title. However, it will be an uphill task for the national team at the Intercontinental Olympic qualifiers, as the side will come up against powerhouse Italy, Netherlands and Belgium. Now to basketball. The national men's basketball team take on fancied Democratic Republic of Congo in the opening match of the African Nation Championship, which tips off in Bamako, Mali on Friday afternoon. The game, which starts at 7 p.m. East African time, will see Kenya return to continental stage after a 3-decade absence, having last featured in 1989. The Morans are in Group B, which also has Nigeria, according to the schedule released by the president of FIBA. Afrique Technical Committee, Alphonse Bail. The opening ceremony will be held on Saturday after all delegates arrive in Mali. Captain Griffin Ligare, Assistant Captain Tyler Okari, Ariel Okal, Bush Wamukota, Ronnie Gundo, Eric Mutoro and Valentine Nyakinda will lead the Kenya Morans in today's battle. End of this bulletin, but do join us in our subsequent bulletins at 7 and 9 p.m. My name is Abdiaziz Hashim, but don't go too far. Soccer 360, the AFCON special edition with Delvin and Dennis is up next.